This is Conspiracies Unpacked. My name is Danny Clayton, and today we are looking at the conspiracy theory of flat Earth. What is the short and skinny of this conspiracy theory? Well, a growing online community have suggested that because the Earth appears flat and because the Earth feels flat, all other evidence of the contrary opinion is erroneous. So thousands and thousands of years of mathematical evidence, satellite evidence, NASA and governments telling us that the world is round, they're all lying. And the Earth is in fact a gigantic disk. Dr. Richard Hames, what do you make of this conspiracy?
I think it's bonkers.
No, wait, we should probably get you to talk about this a little bit more. Really quickly, how likely is that to be true?
Well, you'd have to ask the question, why would so many organizations conspire to lie about such a thing? And there's very little rationale to underpin why anyone would do that. I mean, the first thing you look at in conspiracy theories is the money trail. Does anyone have anything to gain financially from lying? And the flat earthers will, of course, respond that yes, a moon landing can be faked much more easily if we're on a flat disk than in a sphere. But then you have to go into a whole range of other possibilities. The problem is, Danny, that in terms of human knowledge, science is probably the best way we have of knowing how the world works. And the overwhelming evidence that science shows us is that the world is in fact a sphere.
Why do you think that online communities that believe in flat Earth are growing?
Yeah, apparently the claim is they're growing at about 200 people a week. I think there are a couple of things here. I think we're losing trust in what governments tell us generally and becoming suspicious, therefore, that if they're not telling us the truth, then what is the truth that they're not telling us? I think that's one thing. And the other thing is, of course, we're more open to this notion that things can be different because of the spate of science fiction movies that come at us all the time and other conspiracy theories that are floating around in the ether. So I think those two things very much impinge on human consciousness.
What were some of the earliest proofs that the world was in fact a sphere?
Oh, well, the obvious ones were around scientists like Newton, who proved gravity. The apple fell on his head and he realized, okay, that gravity is important. There was Galileo, who was a heretic at the time. The church, of course, didn't believe what he was saying about the Earth being round. And so there have been moments in history where these things have been challenged, the ideas have been challenged. But the mathematical measurement of the Earth is such that it is almost impossible to believe that it's anything other than a sphere.
So what you're saying is that these new flat earthers are almost like the New Age heretics, and that maybe that they're striving to expose the truth of the flat Earth.
This conspiracy theory particularly, to me, makes no sense at all. I simply don't understand it. I don't get it. Whereas with a lot of conspiracy theories, there are shards of truth that have just been woven together in a weird way. But there don't seem to be any elements of truth in this at all. The fact that a disk could be held up by rocks in space and be moving upwards at a rate of 32 feet per second, and there's no gravity, in fact, and that there's an ice wall, which is Antarctica, around the disk, 150 foot tall, guarded by NASA. I mean, just some of the claims seem to be out of a children's nursery rhyme, to be honest.
I'm going to give you a very challenging task, and it's probably one that you're not going to enjoy. And that is, if it was your job to give any sort of credence and weight and gravity to a flat earther's claim, what would be your best attempt? How would you prove personally that flat Earth is a thing?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I think what I would do is to reach for Einstein's theory of relativity, which is probably the most accepted theory and formula in physics at the moment. And I would say that this works in a flat disk world, a flat Earth. The theory still works, so that I would reach for that. But I would do that simply because I would know that anywhere else I went would not support my hypothesis.
How plausible is the flat Earth conspiracy?
As plausible as the Truman Show. Absolutely nothing in it.
In fact, I think that the Truman Show is possibly even more plausible. So there it is. Conspiracies Unpacked. Is the world flat? No, it's not flat.